Guys, we're going to talk about the bail hearing and appearance today by Ghislaine Maxwell, the British socialite who was a pimp for Jeffrey Epstein. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. My name is DutyRon, retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years in law enforcement. Spent my whole entire career fighting evil, fighting the very evil that Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, and countless others we brought to justice. Subscribe to my channel by hitting the notification bell, so this way you will get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload a video. And I want to say a special thank you to all my channel members, my Patreon supporters, all the people who do my moderating, who subscribe to my channel, who positively interact in the comment section down below, who also interact with me on all things social media, DutyRon on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all social media, one word, DutyRon. Thank you to Joey Brooklyn, Sophia Howard, Miss Justice, Glowing Ember, Rouse Trucking is in the building. Great to see all my friends. Dawn Marie down in Florida, Sophia Howard, great to see you. Guys, this is an appearance here today. I could have predicted this, and I think I did on my very first video when she was arrested. I said that she would not be granted bail, and sure enough, she is a flight risk, and she was not granted bail. This is a sexual predator who the prosecution has a surmounting amount of evidence, an overwhelming amount of evidence. The chances of her being released back into the public with an ankle bracelet or in a plush apartment in Manhattan, you know, guys, think about it. If it was a female or a male that committed this type of crime, do you think that we would be afforded a bail where we could sit in an apartment with an ankle bracelet on, with bodyguards watching us, having caviar and champagne and filet mignon? No. The answer to that is no. So the reason she did not get bail today is because of the overwhelming amount of evidence against her. She's a flight risk because she has residence in 3 different countries, the United States included. She has 3 passports, plus she has $20 million at her fingertips. So she can just easily flee the country. She's already proven that she's a flight risk by her hiding and evading the federal authorities for all this time. So guys, I'm going to go right into it. Hello, Kenny TV. Good to see you. Marissa, thanks for joining. Black Rose is in the building. Great to see you, Black Rose. Max Cobra, hello. Say hello to Timmy. Good evening to Pete Byron down in South Florida. Love and respect to all my good friends coming in across the board. Princess Michelle is here. Sweet Crazy. All the DutyRon family is assembled. Thank you so much for being in here. Let's go right to it. Let's look at Mary Murphy from Pix 11 here in New York. Let's take a peek at what she has to say, reporting live from outside the courthouse.
Ghislaine Maxwell's millions could not buy her a bail package after one alleged victim called into the court and labeled Maxwell a sexual predator who egged on the late financier Jeffrey Epstein. The judge then pointed to Maxwell's extraordinary wealth and substantial risk of flight and ordered her held pre-trial. Reporters en masse got temperature checks before a virtual hearing at the U.S. courthouse as Ghislaine Maxwell, 58, appeared in a drab prison uniform from a Brooklyn detention center on a large monitor. She used to dress much better in her heyday with ex-boyfriend Jeffrey Epstein, who committed suicide last year after he was slammed with charges that he sexually abused minors who were allegedly recruited and trafficked by Maxwell, a British-born heiress. At least one alleged victim said she was forced to have sex with Britain's Prince Andrew, a charge he's denied. He hasn't spoken with U.S. prosecutors. Today, Maxwell's lawyer pointed to other high-profile defendants who got bail before trial, but Judge Allison Nathan was unmoved, saying she gave scarce information about her finances, hiding her resources and herself. She noted that Maxwell was arrested July 2nd in a New Hampshire mansion where she tried to elude federal agents. Quote, "The court concludes Ms. Maxwell poses a substantial risk of flight." Outside court, some protesters held a sheet saying Epstein is the worst kind of virus. One of
That's pretty fitting, right? Epstein is the worst kind of virus. Ghislaine Maxwell is equally as horrific as Jeffrey Epstein, if not worse, because she was responsible for procuring a fresh a fresh grouping of young girls for Jeffrey Epstein to rape and take advantage of. So I feel that she is just as bad, if not more evil, than Jeffrey Epstein was.
Alleged victims had called into the bail hearing Annie Farmer, telling the judge that her abuse started when she was just 16. Quote, "She is a sexual predator," she said of Maxwell, "who groomed and abused me."
These are pretty powerful words by young women now that are full-grown women, but as young children, she's a sexual predator who groomed and abused me. We may never know how many people were victimized, and that's a true statement. But they have thousands and thousands of documents, thousands and thousands of pieces of evidence, including some videos of some very high-powered political figures that will come out. The trial's not set to go off until July 12th or 17th of 2020. I could have those dates a little bit wrong. Hello, Cup of Joe. Good to see you. But I know that the prosecution has two videos that are known that are going to come out in this trial. So this trial is going to be interesting. The question is, are they going to be able to keep her alive? She's in protective custody, but will Ghislaine Maxwell have a Jeffrey Epstein done on her? Who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. Good to see you, Sophia Howard. Hello, Liz. Great to see you. Linda Cormier from Canada. Love and respect to you. Kenny TV in the building and representing. Yeah, so will she survive this? I could tell you this. She's not getting 3,000 cotton thread sheets in the federal detention center. She's not getting caviar and champagne. She's not getting filet mignon. She is going to have rip away clothing because she's probably on the suicide watch. This is a person who's used to living in the high hog, and now she's living in squalor where she belongs. She belongs in squalor. This is good payback. This is good payback for her. You know, the 1 year that's going to take for them to prepare for this prosecution. Now, her defense team asked for a special, there's usually about 70 days. The federal prosecutors usually have about 70 days to commence a trial. But due to COVID-19 and due to the complexity of this case, the defense and the court both agreed that they would give a little extra time. Denise Perez, great to see you. Give Dad a hug for me, and a lot of strength and prayers coming your way. Denise Perez, always a pleasure to have you in on the broadcast. But so, you know, this situation here, we're dealing with evil. This is an evil, evil person. You know, that's an extreme possibility, Pete Byron. She could get infected with COVID because she's in jail. But they do have her in PC, protective custody. She is being watched every second of the day. There's no security, no jail guards, no jailers will fall asleep on this one. I could tell you that right now. KDF, great to see you. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you coming on in. Let me let the rest of this play, guys.
We may never know how many people were victimized. Another alleged victim, who identified herself as Jane Doe, wrote a letter about Epstein and Maxwell. Quote, "She egged him on and encouraged him," she said. Maxwell's defense lawyer, bail hearing, Annie Farmer, telling the judge that her abuse started when she was just 16. Quote, "She is a sexual predator," she said of Maxwell, "who groomed and abused me. We may never know how many people were victimized." Another alleged victim, who identified herself as Jane Doe, wrote a letter about Epstein and Maxwell. Quote, "She egged him on and encouraged him," she said. Maxwell's defense lawyer, Mark Cohen, said she couldn't properly prepare for trial in pandemic lockdown, adding, quote, "She's not the monster who's been portrayed by the media and the government." Her new accommodations are a huge fall for a woman who once partied with Donald Trump and Melania years before they were president and first lady.
So now notice that this reporter stated that her accommodations are a huge difference between what she's used to. And again, that's what I said. Katie, the mugshot photo, that's not a guarantee that that gets released. I think due to security reasons, the feds decided not to release her mugshot. That's not saying that they won't release her mugshot, but there's all kinds of conspiracy theories that she's not in custody and that whole thing. And that's just a jagaloonish concept. She's in custody. They don't have to, by law, release the booking photo. I think that will come out eventually, but right now it's a matter of a safety concern. They don't want her to get killed in prison, so they're not putting out the photo for probably a lot of different reasons. But don't read too far into it, because there is a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and you could run wild with this stuff. But it is what it is. Boxing MMA 365. That's my good friend Gary over in Ireland. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being in here on the chat. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to anyone who's given super chat. If I missed it, anyone that will perhaps share this broadcast, if you share it onto your social media, it gets the word out a little bit further. I appreciate that. Hello, Glowing Ember and Timer 666. What security problem would her mugshot cause? Glowing Ember, there's many security issues that the mugshot. It's a current picture of her and what she looks like when there's movement. They don't want people to maybe see what her current status or what she looks like now. There could be just many different things. You're looking a little too far into it. And for those of you who think that she's really not in custody and they're not releasing her picture, this is probably not the place for you to be hanging around, because I'll just immediately poo-poo that. So she's in custody. My friend works in the federal lockup and actually saw her being actually transported into the detention facility. He didn't see her per se, but he saw the procession coming in. Anyways, let the rest of this play.
Ghislaine Maxwell's trial is not even set to begin until July 2021, a year from now. And for now, her lawyer said that she's in the equivalent of solitary confinement with lights on all the time.
So solitary confinement with the lights on all the time. The lights are never out in her lockup. And I understand that they've been moving her from cell to cell. They've been moving her around. So here we go with the next piece. This next piece.
Report in Lower Manhattan. I'm Mary Murphy.
This next piece is pretty cool. So let me just come on and quickly say hello to everybody. Thank you for joining in on the live stream. I appreciate you guys coming on in. And you know what? Listen, any good judge would not grant a person of this status any type of bail, even if it was $100 million. If she posted $100 million, it would be ridiculous to let her be out on bail. So it just makes sense to keep her in there. It makes sense to keep her in federal custody until the trial. And they're looking at July 12th of 2021. So she's got a nice whole year to sit and rot in jail. And that's the best thing. Those are partial wheels of justice in my eyes. That's a very uncomfortable place for a person like her, and she deserves it. So there you go. Timer 66. Let me get that correct. That's not timer 666, because that's a sign of the devil. Timer 66. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that. All right, let's let this roll.
A federal judge in New York ruled that Ghislaine Maxwell has both the money and the motive to flee the country and denied her request to be freed on bail. It means Today, a federal judge in New York ruled that Ghislaine Maxwell has both the money and the motive to flee the country and denied her request to be freed on bail. It means the alleged accomplice of accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein will likely spend the next year in jail as she awaits trial. CBS's Jerika Duncan reports.
Ghislaine Maxwell appeared at today's 140-minute bail hearing by video. She's been behind bars since her July 2nd arrest. U.S. District Judge Alison Nathan determined the 58-year-old British socialite should not be released on bail, saying Maxwell is a substantial actual risk of flight. Prosecutors say Maxwell has links to more than a dozen bank accounts around the world worth more
Let me just step in real quick. Cheryl Monroe says 1 year in the county, then off to the big house. That's not true. She's in federal lockup, so she's not in county jail. She's in a federal detention center. She's in federal jail. So it's quite a difference than the county. County jail is a big difference than the feds.
More than $20 million in total and 3 passports in her name. 2 alleged victims provided statements for today's hearing, including Annie Farmer, who said
Pete.
she was groomed and abused by Maxwell when she was just 16 years old. World worth more than $20 million in links to more than a dozen bank accounts around the world worth more than $20 million in total and 3 passports in her name. 2 alleged victims provided statements for today's hearing, including Annie Farmer, who said she was groomed and abused by Maxwell when she was just 16 years old, and a Jane Doe who said, if she is out, I need to be protected. Maxwell's attorney claims she's been a target of endless media spin. If she is out, I need to be protected. If she is out.
All right, so that took me 3 tries to get it paused on the right place. Sophia Howard, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Love and respect to you. Pete, it's usually 70 days max, around 70 days that they have to go forward with the case. But the defense and also the judge agreed that they would give a little extra time for her defense to prepare and for the prosecution to prepare, because there's literally thousands upon thousands of documents of evidence. So everybody needs to get sufficient time to look through it all. So that I hope that answers your question, Pete. It's usually about 70 days now. They're getting about 365. So thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Sophia Howard says, thank you, DutyRon, for all you do for us. Thank you for all you do for the channel as well. Gary says, do you think she's going to make it? Your guess is as good as mine. I would say that, again, I said this on my last live stream, the federal Bureau of Prisons do not want another embarrassment on their hands. And I'll tell you this in no uncertain terms, they were fully embarrassed with Epstein and pulling at Epstein. So I think that she will be watched like a hawk. And this is something that will not have another oops. I'll say that right there. Jackie Brown says, why did she stay in the States? I wonder. I scratched my head on that because she was skipping out all over the place across the UK. And I thought that she had her best bet, because if she went to France has a policy of no extradition. So she has legal residency in France. So she could have stayed in France, and maybe it was unbeknownst to her. If she was even caught in France, there's no extradition back to the U.S. from there. And you'll hear that in one of these reports that I play for you. But so it just I scratched my head when she made a purchase in New Hampshire under an assumed name. There's a lot of things that she did that was, not smart. But criminals don't always have the most smart common sense. She's a person who's used to getting over and used to paying her way out of stuff, used to blatantly not abide by laws and things of that nature. So let me let the rest of this go, and I'll get back to your questions in a few minutes.
I need to be protected. Maxwell's attorney claims she's been a target of endless media spin, adding, she's not the monster, she's not Epstein. Maxwell pleaded not guilty to all charges, and she will remain behind bars until the trial, which is not expected to start until next summer. If convicted, Maxwell could face 35 years in prison. Nora?
Jerika Duncan.
So 35 years in prison, that would be the rest of her natural born life, or most of it. She's 58 years old, I believe. So she spent 35 years in prison. That'll bring her into her 90s. So I think, I think that would that would do her in. That's for sure. She wouldn't have a good 35 years in jail. That's for sure. New Hampshire, yes, it's an odd place, man. It's an odd place. MJ Doris, great to see you, sweet crazy. We're all thinking a lot of crazy stuff. Like, where's the thought process? Crystal Harmony, great to see you. Hope everything is going well in your part of the country. I know you're over in Colorado. Great to see you. Thank you for joining. No, Seattle. I don't know why I was thinking Colorado. Yeah, over in Seattle. I hope things are settling in a little bit and things are getting a little bit better. Let me segue off of this. Hi, guys. Thank you to everyone who is joining. Guys, my name is DutyRon. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you will get all things DutyRon. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all one word, DutyRon. And thank you to all the new subscribers who are coming on in and piling into the channel. I greatly appreciate all of the subscribers and the new and old subscribers. I greatly, greatly appreciate you guys. All right, here's one I want you guys to see. Stand by. This is the one I want you guys to see. This is kind of I don't know if I want to play this one. This one's not a favorite of mine. Hold on. All right, so they were talking about the possibility of bail, and what these people thought about her, and I think it's just interesting to hear other people's perspectives, so to speak, and it's really cool to hear some of the other professionals on what their take is.
Let's bring in legal analyst.
So this is a legal analyst. Let's see what she's got to say, and we'll step back into questions.
Lisa Green now. Lisa, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Let's start with what we learned on Monday, this sort of almost cinematic detail of how they were able to capture her, the cell phone wrapped in tinfoil. She runs to another room. The prosecution's case for keeping her locked up and denying bail, Lisa, what is it?
Well, Craig, if you were going to produce a YouTube video, an instructional video on how to look like someone who you can't count on to appear in court for a hearing, it would be based on the facts we read about in the prosecution's case. It's a strong case based on her behavior prior to arrest and the ability she has to flee. Now, she might argue, her lawyers might argue, we'll take the passports away, we'll make it hard for her to get a flight, but someone of this much immense wealth who's already indicated she's not happy about being taken into custody, joining the process, being available for the process, raises a lot of questions for the judge to consider about how to keep her from fleeing before her court date.
Prosecutors have also said that they plan to call a witness, at least one witness as well.
The wrapping the cell phone in tinfoil is nonsense. That's like wrapping your head in tinfoil and talking to aliens. It's the same concept. But yeah, she can't fly an aircraft, but she certainly can hire someone to fly an aircraft for her. She flies not in a commercial airliner. She flies in her own private jet. So these are not regular people like you or I. They're the wealthy jet setters.
How common is that? What, if anything, can we glean from that?
Yeah, prosecutors are allowed to make the case that one of the reasons Maxwell might flee is the strength of the case. And that's why they're bringing in witnesses to underscore the severity of the crimes that are charged against her. Probably not that typical, but then again, not a typical bail hearing. This
idea that Steph alluded to, that the defense might try and use the coronavirus pandemic as a reason that bail should be granted. There have been reportedly dozens of cases at this particular facility where she's being held. Any likelihood that that's an argument that holds water?
I don't think so. As Steph alluded to, there are lots of cases that have preceded this one where people have said, don't imprison me, I might catch COVID. And, the justice system is taking some steps to make those prisons safer. Probably not the safest place to be, but I really doubt there's a carve-out for her.
Lisa, how much of what we're going to see today and over the next few weeks, how much of this is going to obviously play out in public? How much of this is going to happen behind the scenes in terms of trying to get Ghislaine Maxwell to cooperate with prosecutors? Is that something that we think is happening right now?
Yeah, you know, the real currency she has in this system isn't necessarily the cash she could use to flee to the jurisdiction, but it's the information she has that she may or may not decide to share with prosecutors to get a more lenient sentence, to cut a deal. We won't hear about that in public, but it wouldn't be surprising if those conversations, assuming she's willing to play, are underway.
Really quickly here, you think she gets bailed today, or do you think she ends up staying in prison?
No bail.
All right.
Anybody that has any common sense would answer that question, no bail. So, yeah, I'm not even going to get into the tinfoil because it's just a joke. I mean, they alluded to how funny it was that she even tried that. She did try to elude the FBI. She was not forthcoming. She told the maid when they rang at the bell to say that nobody was home. She ran or went into a room. So she fled into a room when they came in and they had to go get her. She's, an extreme flight risk. She's not honest. She's claiming that she's 100% innocent and that she had nothing to do with this. Listen, there is so much overwhelming evidence against this woman that, even the chances of her cooperating for a lesser sentence, I'm not sure what kind of a lesser sentence they could give her based on what she, what information she gives. I mean, there's so much information that they already have. They have 2 videotapes of her and implicating her and others of committing crimes against, underage children. So, I don't really see the value that we'll get out of her. And is she gonna be honest? I don't think so. I don't think she's gonna be honest. She's not an honest person. She's not an honest person. All right, let's look at this.
Denied bail.
Let's look at this last piece right here, and then we'll wrap it up. Here we go.
The longtime associate of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein denied bail after pleading not guilty to sex trafficking charges. Her trial tentatively set for a year from now. Brian Yennis reports outside the Metropolitan Detention Center. That's in Brooklyn, New York. Bit of a surprise here to some, I think. Brian, what happened?
Yeah, Bill, good afternoon. Ghislaine Maxwell pleaded not guilty to the 6 charges, federal charges. She faces up to 35 years in prison, and she was denied bail. The hearing taking place virtually. She's inside the MDC here in Brooklyn. She appeared via video conference. The judge siding with the prosecution, which made the argument that Ghislaine Maxwell is an extreme flight risk. They note the fact that she has 3 passports. She has $20 million in.
Anyway, so, you get what the consensus is here. The prosecution, the state, the feds, whatever you want to refer to them as, they have an overwhelming amount of evidence. And it came out today that they have a minimum of 2, maybe more, actual video recordings of her partaking in these illegal activities, the crimes that she's being charged with. I don't know what that evidence is. I didn't see it, but I know it's been talked about. It was talked about today in the bail hearing, and she pled not guilty to the charges. That's what the 2-pronged hearing was today. It was a 2-pronged hearing. She pled to the charges, and they denied her bail. So let me just say hello to Wilma. Great to see you. Thanks for coming. Princess Michelle has been here. So who else is here? Who else is here that I missed? I think I got everybody. So, and Jana, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you being in here. It's always warm and cozy feeling when I see Jana from California in the building. Thank you for joining.
Some 15 accounts, and they also take into account, the judge did anyway, that she's very good at hiding. The fact that she was moving from place to place to place and that no one knew where she was other than the FBI. She has 20 million flight risk. They note the fact that she has 3 argument that Ghislaine Maxwell is an extreme flight risk. They note the fact that she has 3 passports, she has $20 million in some 15 accounts, and they also take into account, the judge did anyway, that she's very good at hiding. The fact that she was moving from place to place to place and that no one knew where she was other than the FBI for the last year convinced the judge that Ghislaine Maxwell, released with an ankle bracelet, would not be sufficient enough to guarantee that she would not flee given her international ties. She is a British socialite. She has lots of friends in high places, and the fact that, frankly, she has the means. She has the money to flee. She's also
Not only does she have a lot of friends in high places, she has a lot of friends who are willing to hide her and lie for her. So this is a really dangerous situation, and she's best suited for being remanded and kept in jail. So, hey, if you ask me, what's her chances of getting killed or quote unquote committing suicide in jail? I think it's a 50-50. I would have to say a 50-50, but I could say this. I'm happy that she's behind bars. I'm happy that they didn't grant her bail. I didn't think that they would. But she's getting what she deserves at this point, no matter what happens, whether she makes it to trial or not. And I said that with Jeffrey Epstein, and a lot of people got mad at me. But I felt like, hello, Mr. Yeshiva. Thank you so much for being in here. I appreciate you being in on the chat. Inner Peas, and I think I missed Dawn and a couple other people that said me. Let me scroll back to the me's. Caitlin, good to see you. Dawn, yep, I'm pretty damn good with that. So there's no bail. There's no bail, Becky. The bail is 0.0. There's no bail. She's being held until next year. Her trial is July 12th. The trial will resume July 12th of 2021. Kathy from Texas, great to see you.
Also a French citizen, somebody who could actually flee to France, and France has a non-extradition law there for French citizens. So there was a real concern. The judge did not buy the defense argument that COVID-19 posed a major risk to Ghislaine Maxwell, and that if she were detained, to France, and she's also a French citizen, somebody friends in high places, and the fact that, frankly, she has the means.
Okay, so here's the statement about France, and this is what is confusing. Like, if she was really that smart and she really used her head and really wanted to completely evade the authorities, France would have been the answer for her. And I kind of thought that that she was going to do that. I thought that she was going to go out and just sneak on into France and just mingle in with and live the rest of her life in France in pretty much exile and not be able to be prosecuted. But she didn't do that, which is good, you know?
Has the money to flee. She's also a French citizen, somebody who could actually flee to France, and France has a non-extradition law there for French citizens. So there was a real concern. The judge did not buy the defense argument that COVID-19 posed a major risk to Ghislaine Maxwell, and that if she were detained, it would pose a major risk to her here. That was not good enough. She will be detained until July 12th, 2021.
Wow.
Bill?
Okay, Brian, thanks.
So there you have it, July 12th of 2021. So, you know, there's no tears for me to be shed here. She's in a place where she needs to be. True helper, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sweet Crazy, for giving me a heads up about him being live. Thank you, Sweet Crazy, for sharing the broadcast out. If you guys can, let me know where you're watching. If you're new, your city, state, or country. And even if you aren't new, let me know in the chat. Let's let the chat go crazy. Just put your city and state in there, or where you're from, or wherever you're comfortable with letting us know, and I'll read out a couple of them. I always like to do that. I like to see where people are from and just call it out when I see it come up on the screen. So I think that's always cool to do, and it gives a little acknowledgement for the people that are in here maybe for the first time, perhaps. So I'm looking at the screen. My eyes are pinned on it, and I like to just shout out a couple of people. So she's being held in Brooklyn, New York. Thank you, Joey. I made an adjustment. Flyer B from Houston, Texas. Great to see you. Ohio, Becky Sue. Thank you so much for coming in. I am new. Boxing MMA is from over in Ireland. Hello from Northern California. Leavenworth, Washington. Great to see you. Fishers, Indiana. Great to see you. St. Augustine, Florida. Thank you, Dookie. Naples, Florida. Vancouver, Canada. Oh, I love the people in Ireland. Hello in Faribault, Minnesota. Great to see you. Great to see you. Thank you for joining. Buffalo, New York. Cold as hell in the winter. Hello. Great to see you. Thanks for joining, Bella. Who else? Where else? Anything else? Philadelphia. Love Philadelphia. I've been there many a time. I've picked up a couple of prisoners over in Philadelphia. Great to see you, Tony, in Baltimore. Thanks for joining. Hello to all the newbies. Yes, hello. Hollywood, Florida. Pete, listen, I've been to Hollywood, Florida. I've hung out with Pete Byron. Hello from Seattle, Creative Dreamer. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you coming in. Glowing Ember in the US of A. I'll buy that. I'll buy into that. Ada, Oklahoma. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you being in here. Eastern Canada. Great to see you, Jesse. Jesse Diane Ryan. Thank you for coming. All right, guys. Milky Way says Kajada. Thank you. Milky Way. Always good to see you. So, guys, I'm going to end the live stream. Let me put it back on to me. Greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Again, if you're not subscribed, there it is, DutyRon. Please hit the subscribe button. Please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter, or just be here and positively interact in the chat, in the comment section down below. I love to get those comments. When the comments come in, it tells me that you guys are listening and watching the videos. So I really love to interact. Atkinson, Kansas. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. I like to see the comments because then that lets me know that you guys are watching and that you're enjoying the live stream. So when I interact with you guys and you take the time out to leave a comment, it's my pleasure to answer them back, as long as they're pertaining to what the video is. So always great to have extra interaction after. It's like having a conversation after the live stream is over. And, you know, a lot of YouTubers, I mean, I get it. Everybody has different things going on. A lot of YouTubers don't answer the comments, and I get that because it's really a job in itself. But I like to do that because I appreciate each and every one of you leaving the chat, leaving messages in the comment section to chat. Deborah Lawson, thank you. DutyRon, I like your channel. But all the hellos to the viewers break up the continuity of your narrative. My narrative is already over. This is the end of the live stream. And for me, at the end, to say thank you for everyone hanging in there during the live stream, that's what a live stream is all about. With all due respect, Deborah, that's how I do it. And again, there's always opportunities to go and watch other people. I hope that you stay here, but I do that because I want to say thank you to the people, because when you do a live, unlike an uploaded video, there's people that are sitting there watching you and they want interaction. So interaction is what this is all about. If you like just uploaded videos, I'm definitely not the guy for you. But thank you so much for that comment, and I'm glad that I got to address it on a live stream. That's the reason I do it. All of my points are already being made out. I've got my checklist here, and this is my wrap up. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you. A lot of love and respect from my house to yours. God bless the world. God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of you here in the chat. I really do appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. Again, I am a 20-year retired NYPD detective. I've been in every different kind of situation, and I retired out of the Fugitive Apprehension Squad. I was in the Fugitive Enforcement Division, and I went out and picked up people just like Ghislaine Maxwell that would go on the run, and we would hunt them down and bring them back to justice. And that's what I did for quite a long time before I retired. And this is the opportunity, and this is the expertise that I can bring to you on all of these live streams. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, thank you so much for everybody being in here. Hello from Australia. Great to see you. Liz, thank you for the hearts. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Princess Michelle. Kathy from Texas. I'll never stop giving shout outs. And for the very small amount of people who don't like that, again, I'm not saying, leave, but I'm saying I'm probably not for you if you don't like that. I do get my point across, and then I go into my shout outs. That's a part of what I do. Guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace from New York.